fucking talk about it then. I'm gonna talk as much as possible to see how bad it is. This shit that happened, though, I made a video about this a while ago, which is that Marvel doesn't, they don't really have a problem with the idea of diversity. That's not necessarily a problem with Marvel. I've talked a lot about how, Bobby Morse, that's Mockingbird, was one of my favorite Marvel characters for a long time. And they hired, what's her name? Kane. Her last name is Kane. And who wrote the most recent Mockingbird series. That's absolute fucking garbage. And it's not garbage for any other reason other than the fact that it's just this completely shoehorned, despicable social justice propaganda. So when you have someone like Heather Antos post up a picture that is her, and how many other people do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 other senior people, essentially, at Marvel, who are all women, all sharing their little fucking milkshakes, and people had a rational response to be like, hey, Marvel, your diversity hires are in the toilet. And that's true. Your sales are in the absolute shitter because you've hired these women who don't give a damn about comic books. What I find so bizarre is that, I'm a girl who grew up on comics, pretty much. Wow, okay, real quick, sorry, I get distracted. Super chat. Nightwish fan 1991. So did all the Marvel writers decide to go completely insane on Twitter? We'll get to that. Does other stuff include liberating the 6 colonies of North? I don't know, man. It was not what I had on the agenda, but I was only really gonna maybe talk about the trans ban and then maybe get into Anna Kasparian versus Ann Coulter, because that was amazing. I didn't even want to handle Cenk and Ben Shapiro at this point because I think maybe Hard Bastard and I are going to do a video on some of it, so it all depends on where I get to tonight. If the stream chat's okay though now, that's good, we can just talk. The problem though is that Marvel has always had, not the problem, here's my issue, okay? Marvel has always had a lot of very strong female characters. I remember when I was growing up, when you're a kid, I think there's something about comics as the 90s. So when I was a kid, the comics had become a little bit inaccessible. And I've talked about this. Thank you, Michael Kendall. Thank you for the super chat. But inaccessible because unlike as they had been in years prior, the Comics Code Authority was in effect, is that being able to the grocery store, that totally changed. Do I like Kelly Sue DeConnick? She's done some good work. I think she's, I don't know how debut-y she is. I actually liked her run on Ghost, and I know that was a little bit controversial. People didn't like that. I liked her run on Ghost. She's also done some SJW shit. But DeConnick's alright. Gonna get absolute, as low as possible. And I'm not even running the chat. This is at this point this has to be my internet. This can't be anything else. Shit, now I've lost my train of thought. Diversity in comics. He did mention me. He's really cool. He actually got mentioned to me by Coach Red Pill, before someone in a video, and yeah, I've been watching his content. He's really, really cool. I like his content a lot. I think he has really good points and salient points, and apparently he was part of some of this drama here, and that he called them fake geek girls, which they are. They are fake geek girls. These girls were... Is Bitch Planet any good? The name keeps making me want to avoid it. But they are fake geek girls. This is the same thing that's happened in the games industry to a lesser extent, which is, I love Rick Remender and Hickman. But Remender, I love Remender. He can do no wrong. He'd have to really fuck up to piss me off. They are fake geek girls. They've made it incredibly obvious. They were not hired because of their love for comics. They were hired because they make Marvel look better. And why the fuck do you think that they get so mad and upset over the very tiny, just little implication that they're not real geek girls? That's exactly why it makes them angry, because their identity is being challenged. And their identity, it's not based on reality. It's not based on a genuine interest in most cases. It's based on virtue signaling. And by the way, thank you, Jables Boogly, again. I am a guy, and Rogue was one of my favorite characters because she was able to absorb other powers, especially in the later series where she was able to recollect all the powers. So she was just a beast. Yeah, that was cool. That's what fucked up Heroes, though, which, what was his name? The guy in Heroes who was a complete just powerhouse, so they had to rewrite his character when that show went to shit. And no, that's why when this identity is so fragile, that's indicative to me that the identity is fragile for a reason. For example, I have never been insulted if Peter, I've never been insulted when if someone were to call me a fake geek girl. That wouldn't insult me at all. Do you know why? Because it has nothing to do, it would be wrong. It would be an incorrect claim. Just like if you were to call me a racist or a Nazi or whatever, it doesn't hurt me. I mean, maybe this is somewhat sticks and stones, may break my bones, but words are a fucking another Showa. This is how I know that the SJWs view shit. But, at least in my opinion, or in my perspective on this, is that if you're a legitimate female comic fan, why would someone calling you a fake hurt your feelings? Grow up. Put on your big girl panties and get over this. And I do want to go over some of the tweets, because it's like, oh, this has become a huge trending hashtag of this is us, my dudes. Oh, how awful. So what is the Daily Dot? The Daily Dot, this is their article on it. If you're a woman, even the simple act of posting a selfie can inspire harassment. Harassment? Calling you a fake geek girl is not harassment. What I saw was that it said something to the extent of like, oh, I do hear, oh, don't say that because she'll call you a rape apologist, or she'll say that's rape for saying you'd want to fuck her, because apparently that's now also rape, just to say that you find a woman attractive. Surprised. But yeah, this is the Daily Dot. We've seen guys call women sluts for using Snapchat's dog selfie filter. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. If you want to call me a slut or whatever, if you're not speaking the truth, why would it... If you're not saying true things, why would it offend me? If someone's making up lies about you, the only... unless it's libel, unless they're actually saying something that's libel that could have a detriment to your income, why would you give a fuck? A Marvel Comics editor is being, quote, harassed, they didn't put that in quotations, I did, for drinking a milkshake with her coworkers, apparently. Heather Antos edits several Marvel comics, including Gwenpool and the Star Wars spin-off Poe Dameron, and she's very active on Twitter. Last week, she posted a selfie with some of her coworkers, and because those coworkers were women, the photo attracted, quote, garbage commenters, like moths to a flame. Yeah, garbage commenters. Can we just get off of feminism and social justice and actually print stories? Complained one response. Who actually said that? Okay. Cool. I agree. This is the entire video I fucking made about Marvel, is that can you stop this social justice rigmarole and just print good stories? Your issue is that you're not concerned with publishing a good story. The only thing that people actually give a shit when it comes to comic books are stories. And what I find so astounding is that maybe this is just a male and female difference, and this would make some sense. What do males aggregates? What do men find attractive about the hero myth? Well, perhaps in some way it's to self-insert, correct? Of to be like, oh, we appreciate or men enjoy the hero myth because in some level they can insert themselves into that. That's appealing to masculine identity. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just like there's things about feminine identities. So why do women love 50 Shades of Grey? And men don't, for the most part. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Men and women generally have different tastes. I'm a little bit of a weirdo, but that's okay. I like comics that are more female-oriented and also ones that are more male-oriented. As I said earlier today, particularly that if you look into Image and, you're going to find tons of comics that are not capes. They're not the superhero myth. They're not the hero myth. They're just comic books about slice of life even type of shit. That's been going on for years. So that's not like a new thing to have slice of life. It's more rare, and I can go into that into more detail about how the Comics Code Authority affected the general layout of what type of content is generally covered in comics as they come from Marvel and DC at large. But if you want to have, if you want a comic that's going to appeal to women more, that's something that's more, focused on relationships, something that's, I'm not saying that's all, but something that's more focused on relationships, mystery, intrigue, I don't know, I'm not good at this. I'm really not good at knowing what generally women like. I would guess more romance type stuff. I know that I'll be called a sexist for that, but whatever. Yeah, go read Image. Go look at Image. There is a large lineup of comics that are going to be more in tune with you. Instead of doing that, what Marvel has decided to do is rewrite, rebrand, and just reconstruct from the ground up their entire idea of cape comic books. The cape comic book is the hero's myth. It's Joseph Campbell to the T. So why instead what you have ended up with are a bunch of these young female characters who are completely unlikable because they are made to be perfect, infallible self-inserts for women who don't read comic books. It's absolutely abhorrent and disturbing. Now, I'm a woman who's read comic books pretty much my entire adult life. I don't want that. The women in comics that I have enjoyed are, as someone else said, something about Rogue. I always liked Storm when I was a kid, particularly because I wasn't, comics weren't readily available to me when I was very young. It took me until I was, a couple years older, like in my teens, to start getting into comic books. I was into them as a kid, but what I had to base all my stuff on, was my dad had a lot of Silver Age comics. Tons of Silver Age comics, and it's why I got into Daredevil so much, is because Silver Age Daredevil is hilarious and wonderful, and it's Stan Lee's absolute garbage over narration writing that I love. Have I seen Riri's origin story? Yes, it was awful, where she wasn't getting discriminated against enough, so she needed to pretend to be discriminated against. Thank you for the super chat. Critical Bunny, James Corden sang a song about how LGBT is transgender. What? I don't even understand. I don't even know what that means. LGBT is transgender. Well, it would be the T is the transgender part. I'm a little confused. There are lots of good. There are lots of comics that appeal to women that are not capes. The problem is trying to change capes. My point is, I loved Storm when I was growing up. Before I even started reading comics, when I was just, watching the X-Men cartoon show. I wanted to be Storm. I thought she was the most badass because she's very calm and cool, and she's kind of the leader in the old X-Men cartoon show, right? I have not kept up on, all my favorite comic shows got canceled a couple years ago. I think they're coming back. But this is the thing. This is my point and why I wanted to bring this up. Is that up until about 2014, 2015, I was a weekly local comic store goer. I picked up my weekly, every Wednesday I was there picking up my shit. Prefer to stay at home. I will get what I'm reading from Image, and I'm not reading that much right now. I go in through phases anymore where I just kind of catch up. Stop fetishizing. Thanks, Near Edge. I gotta stop fetishizing the Nubian queen, Aurora Monroe. But I used to go every fucking Wednesday. So that means that at that point in time, I'm going to say when I was being really avid, so around 2009 to maybe 2000, yeah, 15, where I was picking up weeklies. And I was going every Wednesday getting my pulls. How much fucking money was I spending on comic books? $15 a week? Well, that fucking adds up. That compounds real fast. Now, even at that time, I was reading a lot of indies. And I quickly stopped moving out of just doing Marvel and DC. That is the easiest way to get into comics, sort of, is Marvel and DC. I think maybe for some, because people know the characters from cartoons and stuff. But I used to fucking do weeklies. Now by the way, I steal comics now, and I would flaunt that in front of Marvel, because I would never pay for your shit at this point. I would never, ever pay comic at this point. They have really just disappointed me to such a degree, and it's because what they have done is they've replaced anyone talented, or tried to replace anyone talented, with these diversity hires, which is absolutely absurd. And again, this is why they got upset about being called fake geek girls. This is why they get upset, and why their skin is thin as paper. Because you're a fake geek girl, and it makes you upset to have your identity challenged, because it's truth. This is cognitive dissonance 101. So here's how cognitive dissonance works, correct? I know most of you guys know this. Suzaku 455. Any recommendations for strong woman comic that's not SJW pandering? That's recent? What am I reading right now? That's good. Oh, Wicked and Divine, I mentioned today. It's good. Remender's Low has good female characters in it. In terms of Revival. Revival is good. Check those out. Maybe for strong people. But where femininity is not the some sort of required necessity of the character, or it's inalienable from the character. There's always going to be good stuff. The problem is that they're fucking pushing forward. Marvel is so obsessed with this, and it is killing them. It is absolutely killing them. I was talking about this months ago, because their sales are in... Marvel's sales are some of the worst I think I've ever seen. Like, currently, Marvel's selling like shit. And the thing that's so astounding about this is that 5 years ago, if Marvel had a comic that was selling at 15,000 issues, right? They would cancel it immediately, because that's not doable. So some of my favorite things got canceled, because, well, it just wasn't selling well enough, because it was too obscure, it's too weird. And that used to be the problem. Now they don't give a shit. They'll continue to publish garbage that no one is buying, because they're trying to force this diversity issue. So they're selling shit at 15,000 copies, and they just keep pushing it. Why? Because of this diversity crap. I just don't understand, and I don't quite get it. Really bad business move. And it's clearly a business move, or bad business move, because everyone is taking note of it. Everyone is taking note of this. And that, I think this is another thing why this upset these people so bad, because it was sort of just, it was the high watermark, in a way, of being like, oh, here's the point where we can point to and say, like, look, this is indicative, this is emblematic of the problem with Marvel Comics. These 7 women who are all taking their selfies in New York City or LA, or wherever we live, with our smoothies. Oh, we're Marvel Comics. Nah. You're really not. You're killing Marvel Comics. And I've seen these statistics too, or wherever. I don't know where they get them. I think that I've tried to look into it a little bit, and I haven't found a good source that indicates where the data are coming from. But say like, oh, well, 40% of comic book readers are women. No, not at large. Not at large. Not people who have pull lists. Not people who go into the LCS every week and have like, hey, I'm here to pick up whatever, I know what I'm there for, I'm getting my shit, and I'm getting out. Or, maybe I'm gonna browse, maybe I'll think about buying a trade. That are 80 to 90% male, okay? The absolute normative comic fan is probably 80 to 90% male on average. They don't like to accept the fact that that's their audience. It's the same thing that's happened. This is actually, I do think, and I've heard people say this already, but this is fucking comic gamergate, or it could turn into this. It could real quickly turn into this. The difference is, I mean, nobody fucked Five Guys burgers and fries in this instance. They just had some smoothies, or milkshakes. But yeah, I could see this absolutely turning into the comic book gamergate, because Yeah, Comic-Gate. They want to fucking make it into a huge ordeal. I have yet to see any harassing comments that were made on this other than "you're a fake geek girl." If you're not a fake geek girl, why would that offend you? James Boogley, diversity in comics and movies only work if the writing is good. They need to stop shoehorning in literal shit. I agree. But I've talked about this in a video too, is that diversity is not inherently bad in comics. You know, when Marvel announced that Carol Danvers was going to be the new Captain, finally, oh god, it's so astounding. Finally, a woman gets to be Captain Marvel. Like, as if Captain Marvel is some enormous role in Marvel Comics in the first place. It's I mean, he's generally speaking has been not like the biggest character. And it's like, hey, you know, there were kind of two women who were sort of Captain Marvel before, both Monica Rambeau and Phyla Lavelle. Phyla Lavelle, you could argue, not really, but whatever. There have already been women who have been involved in the Marvel family. And specifically, Monica Rambeau was Captain Marvel 20 years ago. A black woman. Nobody gave a shit. Like, nobody cared because it wasn't, so it worked and it wasn't like totally shoehorned in for the purpose of diversity for diversity's sake. Now you can talk some shit about how Days of Future Past and a lot of other Claremont X-Men comics, for example, have a lot of really heavy-handed social issues shoved in there. And they do, but it's entertaining still. That's the thing. If you want to shoehorn in, or you want to shove in your social justice or your political narrative, okay, as long as the comic is still entertaining. Days of Future Past was an excellent comic, for example. And Claremont was an excellent writer. That's why it's okay. I don't mind all of the social justice shit. Nightwish Fan 1991, the sales are numbers they ship to stores. Yes. They also overship books to stores. Yes, they do. And even blackmail. So those numbers are definitely inflated in a store, and that shit is stacked to the walls. That is astounding. I'll move down in a second, but people who own comic shops, and they get blackmailed by Marvel. DC doesn't do that. Image doesn't do that. Vertigo, Boom, IDW, nobody else overships on purpose to force the retailer to take more of their copies than they know they're going to sell than Marvel. They're the only ones who do that, as far as I know. And that is complete bullshit. It's so they can keep inflating their fucking numbers. Yeah, that's absolute. And even with that, they're still selling like crap. So that's, you know, Dave Bigger. Even if that were true, why would women like shit poor characters writing any more than men? Like, I'd be more pissed if I were a lady face and they were pushing this shit. How condescending. It is condescending. It's extremely condescending. That's kind of my point, man, is that I was a female comic fan, and it didn't have anything to do with feeling like Marvel had to pander to me. Nah, you write a good character. I'm gonna like a good character who's well written, with good art. That's all that matters in this. The problem is they're hiring these people who don't give a fuck, and these girls are sitting around drinking their milkshakes. You think they give any shits about these characters? Kane, the woman who wrote Mockingbird. Yeah, I really don't think that woman had any. Bobby Morse is. She was just like, oh, you're gonna give me a character to write? Oh, she's a DF lister? Oh, so that means I can just have free reign to do whatever the fuck I want. Now, I would say this, sometimes when you take an F-list, D-list character who doesn't have a whole lot fleshed out to them, that can be good if the writer has good ideas and they want to create the character or help flesh out that character to make them more interesting, to give them a better background, to give them a more detailed personality. That can work out really well. And thank you guys again, Dave Bigger, for the super chat. Conga Heavy, we are a part of this group because we say we are, and if you disagree, you are discriminatory. And I feel like I'm going to get lumped into that, of course, you know what I'm saying? Like, because, yeah, there's this whole idea that as a woman, I have to want women in comics. There have been women in comics for forever. I find this so bizarre, and I also find it very indicative, because if you're a woman who reads comic books, you would know this. If you've been reading comics your entire life, maybe not even your entire life, just a couple years, 6 months, and you know anything about comics, because when I got really into comic books, like as an adult, it was probably around 2009. So I was 19. and I had read comics as a kid, my dad's Silver Age shit, but I was way out of the loop of what happened since 1970 in comic books, right? That's a lot to catch up on. Sometimes that also means comics retroactively, my timeline's a little screwy, because I basically, around 2009 and going forward, I just read everything I could get my hands on. So sometimes my timeline's a little messed up of when things happened. But if yeah, I would say it took me about 6 months, starting like 2008, 2009, to go absolutely ham and like read everything and get a good knowledge base of both Marvel and DC in terms of capes. What happened, what are the major stories, what are the major timelines, and I have actually done I've been going to conventions for years now, where I essentially do the same thing. It's like, hey, if you want to get into comics, let me give off some lists and ideas to you of where to start, what to read, how do you start, because it's sort of like an impenetrable nut to crack when you first look at comic books and you go, oh shit, there's 60 years plus of I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of just Spider-Man, and that's just, you know, mainline Spider-Man. That has nothing to do with Ultimate, that has nothing to do with all of these subs things, you know. Very intimidating, I get that, but I think it takes about a good 6 months, if you're really going into it as a hobby, to get a handle on just the general universes that you're talking, and that's just general, like real basic. I don't think these women have any real interest in that, because it is it's still work. It's a lot of effort to do. Interest. They'd much rather do what Kane did, which is just, oh, I don't know anything about who Bobby Morse is. I'll just rewrite her as I'm going to totally gloss over all the shit with Clint. Like, that didn't really matter at all. As if that wasn't I'll gloss over West Coast Avengers. None of this. Here's what really matters. She was a feminist as a child. So let's see. Pixelation. I don't know comics well enough to be helpful. I'm just going to remind that Lil Homie died. Thank you. That was a really funny stream. I think that was like my 5K stream or 1K stream where I read that horrible story I found in an academic piece of work about poor Lil Homie. R.I.P. in peace. Sanguine Mathgamian? Love your vids, and when you get into a good rant, so have some shekels. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah. Oh, Claymore. Someone mentioned Claymore. I love Claymore. Oh yeah, you want a good comic with, or well, manga in that case, with nothing but female characters? Claymore is excellent. It was a 10K stream. Thank you. But yeah, man, you guys, like, this makes me so irate, this comic book shit. Because I've already talked about it once, and now it's coming to a head. This is going to be, I think this is going to be the boiling point, where and this is why I'm going to say this, because every cock-sucking cuck at Marvel, and across the comics industry, but mostly who work for Marvel, have come out in support of Heather Antos and these ladies who are like, oh my god, ladies, I'm so sorry someone called you a fake geek girl on Twitter. That's tantamount to rape. Fuck off, man. That's so insulting. That is so fucking insulting. Nightwish fan 1991. Thoughts on America Chavez? As an idea? Fine. She's been written well before. You just need someone who gives a fuck about the character and isn't just trying to shill their shitty political narrative. PC Gamer Squid, thank you for the super chat. It's amusing that SJW's shit in comic books is coming from Marvel and not the indies, unlike with video games where it's coming from non-developer frauds like Zoe Quinn. Not entirely. You can certainly find some. Oh, who publishes that terrible fat acceptance comic, Valiant? What's her name? Faith, I think, the fat acceptance hero who goes to the Hillary rally, and it was just it was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. It's this fat superhero who is, you know, very feminist and positive, I'm sure. And in one issue, it's Faith, and it's Valiant Comics, so they're not mainstream, and or they're not big too, I should say. And she flies to a Hillary rally, and the Hillary rally is being held in a football stadium, and it is absolutely packed, wall to wall, packed, and Faith has to save Hillary. And of course, there's a racist there and stuff, and oh my god, it was so funny. Starscream 1540, what's my opinion on Comic Girl 19? I like her stuff, generally speaking. I used to watch her more. I've kind of fallen out of... She's said things I agree with and things I don't agree with. She was on James Rolfe's side over the Ghostbusters thing, and I think she was, if I'm remembering that correctly, and I was like, good, because the whole Ghostbusters thing was a complete nightmare. Pun about Super Chat in the stream about superheroes. Thank you, Conga Heavy. Yeah. Thank you. Daredevil doesn't suck. Daredevil is the best and most consistently well-written cape character I've ever come across. Lots of other capes get really, really shitty writers. And I'm not... Okay, first of all, Shadowland didn't happen. It doesn't exist. Just forget it. Brian, what's going on? So Brian, since he's in the chat real quick, we're looking at maybe Gamergate 2.0 happening here. Comicgate. Some women got really, really offended that they took a selfie with some... I keep on to call it smoothies. Took a selfie with some milkshakes, and people called them fake gamer girls because Marvel, if you don't read Marvel Comics, they are a catastrophe right now. They're a catastrophe when it comes to the writing, they're a catastrophe when it comes to a lot of the art, and they're absolutely a catastrophe when it comes to their sales. They are selling like shit. And it's not because there's a decreased interest in comic books. Image Comics has gone through the fucking roof, for example. Now part of this is because The Walking Dead facilitated that. The popularity of The Walking Dead was really totally changed the game. I remember, before The Walking Dead as a TV show came out, Image was this little... they had The Walking Dead, which was popular for a comic book, but for an indie comic book at that time was nothing. And then they had Invincible. I think those were, generally speaking, they're two big things, and they're both written by what's his dick? Fuck, man, come on. But oh shit, why can't I remember his name? Who writes everything at Image? Being in support is likely done to save their jobs. Digital Spooker, thank you for the super chat. It starts with a K. Yeah, absolutely. Being in support is because that's why all the little Kirkman. Thank you, Kirkman. Being in support is absolutely to save their jobs. I think. Yeah, McFarlane's out though, but support is absolutely to save their jobs. They're certainly afraid of it. They're certainly terrified. I'm not gonna invite anybody on because my internet already can barely handle apparently me talking into the mic. Otherwise, I'd be like, yeah. But because I would Captain Cummins is in the chat, hey man, what's up? But I would invite you on otherwise, dude, so we could shoot the shit. If you want to talk about it later, I'll be home not till after tomorrow night. I was supposed to be home tonight, but fucking bus schedules and shit. Yeah, lost my train of thought. But Image Comics and all kinds of pretty much everything, all the indies were not selling on a level that was comparable to Marvel until after The Walking Dead absolutely blew everyone out of the fucking water. And it proved that, hey, and I remember specifically, this was 2000, when did Walking Dead come out? Yeah, 2009, 2008, like when I was getting into comics real big, that I went to my LCS and the guy writing it was like, this is a game changer. Because it means now that Image has the money to publish whatever the fuck they want. They don't really have to... By vet, I don't mean vet out bad comics. They don't have to vet stuff that's too weird to publish. They can just publish anything that they want at this point because they've got the dollary dues. And that was a total change in the industry. So yeah, and again, like if you're a woman and you don't like superheroes, you're a man and you don't like superheroes, fine. Let me introduce you to indies. They're selling very well. They're they're as accessible as any Marvel or DC comic, let me tell you that right fucking now. And there's a lot of good work, there's a lot of good talent that's going on at, IDW, Boom, Image, of course. There's good work happening there. Not to say that there isn't also social justice bullshit, but what I'm finding more, or what has happened since Kirkman got that Walking Dead cash and just decided to say, I don't give a fuck over at Image, is that what gets published there now gets published based on a number of reasons, I think. Like, are they going to suit a narrative? Are they going to suit our company image? Get it? And it's not just, are they going to make money? Because Image is now play in some games where they're willing to publish shit that might not make money. And they have been doing that. How Long Until the Great Marvel Purge, Nightwish fan, 1991. I think we're looking at it, my dude. Something's gonna happen here. This is gonna maybe be Gamergate, or at least this is symptomatic of that. Suzaku 455. I disagree that Marvel had shit artwork, at least what Captain Cummings has shown in his video. Not every comic has bad artwork at Marvel. There are certainly great artists that are working for them. Absolutely. But that's sort of part of the problem, if you want to call it the Marvel method, interestingly enough. Yeah, the artist doesn't have a whole lot to do with the writing. Now, my opinion on that is that I will read something that looks like it was pretty much drawn by a toddler if the writing is fantastic. If the writing is out of this world, and I have a threshold. There's a threshold where if it's too bad, like, what's her name? Okay, there's a threshold. If it's too Tumblr awful looking, if it's just too disgusting to look at, and too aesthetically unappeasing, nah, I'm a tap out. It doesn't matter how good the writing is. But it's a really low threshold for me. The art has to be that bad where fucking Odyssey, and I would still be like, nah. You have to have really bad art. On the other hand, bad writing makes me tap out real quick. Better like you got the best art on the planet. If the writing's shit, bad. I'm out. I'm way outy. Part of my point, though, in this, and Erica Henderson is terrible. Ugh. Yeah, Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl, actually, when I look at it, the art makes me, like, feel physically nauseous. I'm not sure what it is. There's something about it, the wonky proportions, and everything about that art is so it's actually, like, physically disturbing to me. God damn. My point, though, is that, like, yeah, I was pretty much I would have kept buying Marvel Comics indefinitely if they hadn't started doing this shit. And the fact that they're now reveling in it, of, oh, well, we need all these women, we're making it better. No. You drove me, a lifelong female, I'm never going to stop reading comics. I go through phases where I read more or less. But, yeah, we could talk about it on Thursday, Brian, sure. Absolutely. Just get in touch with me, DM me. Hit me, slide into my DMs, dude. You know how you reach me. Fuck, I'm such a fucking loser. Anyway, yeah, if they had not started doing this, and it was obvious pandering, and I saw it from 1,000 miles away, because I saw it coming, and I remember, yeah, even back in those days where I was starting to see the social justice shit, because we used to make fun of them on 4chan, you know? Like, we used to just be shit on Co and V, and then all of a sudden I started to see it take over. And it started to no longer be something that you could mock. It started to be, hey, we have to respect these women. We got to respect that women make comic books better. So maybe. Are they providing valuable talent? Sure. Then absolutely. Then I guarantee then a woman is making Marvel Comics better. Are they bullshitting and writing for no purpose other than to shill their ideology? Well, then that's crap. Fuck off. Oh man, I miss when Co was great. That is I miss Co so bad. I sometimes. Oh, the other day, I like a tear formed in the corner of my eye when I saw this. I was at a hostel, and I tried to get on the internet, and I saw that one of the local Wi-Fi things was called Flyclops. And now most people wouldn't know this because this is a pretty obscure Co meme, which is that what if Cyclops used his eye lasers them against a shield or some kind of reflective surface so that he could fly around and use them as a method of propelling himself through the air. Oh, and I loved it. Was such a good meme of just Flyclops just, propelling himself accidentally with his inability to control his eye lasers into the Twin Towers and shit like that. Oh, it was very fun. But, I was like, oh man, I got a little tear in the corner of my eye to think about back in the days when Co was actually enjoyable. Flyclops, that's awesome. But, yeah, I don't even use V anymore. You should stop being such a f***ing male. I don't know how to stop doing that. Tiago? Thank you for the super chat. I don't know how to stop being such a fucking white male. But yeah, Ko used to be funny, used to have a sense of humor, and this is the same thing, because video games have gone down this. In some way, actually, comics were a little, they were getting hit harder faster, but comics are a bit more of an obscure or small hobby. Comics, in terms of actually reading and purchasing comics, they're a little bit smaller than video games. So when video games started to get hit with the social justice feminist crap, and everyone saw it. I think comic books, it happened around the same time, because I saw that shit happen, and I saw that shit happening all over the place, where I started to see these feminist narratives get worked into comic books. And I think it was happening at the same time. It was just that comics were a little bit below the radar. But I think we're done. I think we are done at this point. This is certain to be, and the comments on this selfie are indicative of that, because so many people were saying things. Now, of course, they called this harassment. It's harassing to say, this is why, this is again that Daily Dot article I mentioned 5 ever ago. Gee, I can't imagine why Marvel's sales are in the toilet, which Daily Dot, they call that comment harassment. Gee, wonder why your sales are in the toilet, when you call that wondering why your sales are in the toilet is harassment. Gee, wonder why your sales in the toilet. See the fucking cyclical logic here? Oh yeah, Heather Antos woke up today to a slew of more garbage tweets from garbage people, of course. Garbage humans, excuse me, and DMs for being a woman in comics who posted a selfie of her friends getting milkshakes. No, honey. Nobody gives a fuck about you being a woman in comics. Really. Yeah, you said this, recent video, which is that, like, every time I've ever been in a comic shop, I always hear these women, and they'll tell these harrowing stories of their harassment, where it's like, oh my god, I went to the comic store, and the male Gaze, not Gays, the male gaze was sicked upon me by all of these terrible, evil misogynists who thought I was violating their patriarchal space with my female body, and I just felt like I was being visually raped. So then I cried and went home, and now I'm writing on my Tumblr this long, sobbing blog post about it, because I'm just so despondent. Never happened. That's never happened. Not ever. That's never fucking happened. I'll tell you what. Mistreated at a comic shop. I have, but it wasn't because, actually, that's a lie. I have been mistreated by assholes, but it had nothing to do with being a woman. It had to do with this one shop owner being a real fucking asshole, is what it was. Because I was like, hey, I moved into a new town. I said, hey, can I start a pool list? And he's like, well, how many are you? I don't know, 10? Because I was sort of a little bit lower. It's like 10. He's like, that's not enough for you. It's like, and he just was acting like a total snobby dick. So that guy's a dick, and he was an asshole, but I don't think that had anything to do with me being a woman. I talked to other people when I went to, guess what, another comic shop in town, and did start my 10-issue pool list, and nobody had a problem with it there. And they were like, yeah, that guy's an asshole. It's because he's an asshole. Sometimes people are assholes. It happens. What doesn't happen is people don't get mad at you for being a woman in a comic shop unless you're being a little bint. If you're being a little cunt, then people are going to treat you like a cunt. As long as you're being a normal human being, nobody gives a shit. They're probably pleased to see you there. Because it's like, oh, well, it's either going to be, some guy's like, oh, excited, a woman interested in comic books. Now, of course, we're in a little bit of a different age now than we were when I first started getting into comics, which is that, now there's the fear that you're just a feminist in there to try to get pity points, right? So I could see if in current year there is an aversion to women in comic shops because you've made yourselves out to be, and I'll use your word, toxic. Weltgeist. Scientist, do reading about the characters in comics give any unique perspectives about the hero archetype? From a social science perspective, most heroes generally follow the hero myth of Joseph Campbell. We see differences, and we see more or less following of the typical hero's journey. But heroes, of course, are going to be attractive to us as people because it's sort of a shared human desire to want to be the hero, to want to play this role in some way, and to go through these, because as people, as normal people, we all kind of go through our own phases and cycles in the hero's journey and myth, that we go through periods of suffering and periods of danger and strife, and we want to come out victorious and righteous on the outside. So when we see these hero characters in media, not just comics, but comics are generally indicative and emblematic of the hero myth in the modern age. I mean, the advent, the rise of Superman as idea is absolutely he's Odysseus in so many ways. And I love Superman for a lot of reasons. I know he gets hated on. I'm a big Supes fan. Let's see. Gunblade Knight, the male gaze are a threat to women everywhere. Only in terms of their fashion sense, I'm sure. Meeks, you'd think that with the huge success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Marvel would have embraced the MCU in comics instead of replacing them with shit characters and firing the X-Men and Fantastic Four. Mixed responses to that, or mixed opinions on that. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Thank you. The problem is, I'll tell you this, with adopting comics to match the movies. This is anecdotal. This is based on me talking to owners of comic shops, so I can't give you data. This is an anecdote. The owner of my LCS when I was in undergrad, and he said, I asked him, I was like, okay, give me a quick rundown, bog pill me, on how much of an increase in sales do you generally see on an individual character after a movie comes out for them. So this was around the time that maybe I think when I asked him this, it was around the time like Iron Man 2, maybe Thor 2. Thor 2 probably had come out. Thor 2 had probably come out. So there was a Captain America, Thor, Iron Man. There was the Avengers may have come out at this time. I don't remember when I fucking asked exactly. And what he said was pretty much this. He's like, well, I get a little increase. I get an uptick like the week after the movie comes out. We get people I've never seen before. They come in, they pick up whatever is the top issue of that comic book character, and they leave, and I never see them again. Maybe they buy a trade if I can convince them to. And University made a video about this recently. That was about first day being a comic book fan in current year, which is, can you accomplish if it's your first day trying to read comics? So you go to you just saw, what's the most recent one that came out? Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Now, first of all, if I was going to tell you to read Guardians of the Galaxy, I'd be like, you got to read DNA. Let me throw all this DNA on you. Oh wait, the DNA run on Guardians of the Galaxy. You got to read this shit. It's great. But Bendis isn't writing it anymore, though. Who the fuck is on? See, I'm out of the loop now because I don't give a shit about Marvel because they've driven me away. It is still writing Guardians? Because, oh, God, how awful. Oh, he ruined that for a while. That really made me upset. That wasn't even a social justice thing. That was Marvel trying to pander to the going audience by changing Peter Quill to be more in line with the movies, and that was terrible. Oh, Duggan, yeah, okay. But Duggan's usually really good. I hope so. I heard it from a friend who still is in this. So good. Man, Gina's Guardians was one of my favorite of any comic. That was fantastic. But if you're a new comic book fan, you go into the LCS. So you're already talking about going way out of your way. You got to go to some weird nerd shop that looks weird, probably smells a little weird, trying to make overwhelming things. But oftentimes they're beaten path. They're places. So you've already done that. And now you want to like, figure out, diversity in comics to this. Like, you want to find out what's going on with Iron Man. I love Tony Stark. He's the coolest dude. I can't get enough of Tony Stark because I love him. In Spider-Man Homecoming, I love the father figure thing that was going on. Bendis was great on Daredevil. Bendis does really good street level work. He cannot write big picture. He cannot do it. He just fucks it up. Great on Ultimate Spider-Man, great run on Daredevil. My point is, you go in there and you pick up Iron Man. It's Riri Williams. Ugh. How confused are you going to be? This is the thing, like, but when Marvel has also tried to go more with the movie narrative, then they also fuck shit up. What I think there needs to be, and Marvel has done this before, I believe, which is to create a, what would you call it? An imprint that's like Marvel Cinematic Universe imprint. So, like, these comics are all in line with the cinematic universe. You know, this is going to be the stuff that you see in the movies, and they can print that, and that would make them money. And that would also be a way to facilitate and to help new readers get into other comics. I think so, right? I have not actually seen Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm probably going to fucking torrent it, honestly. I'm a bad person. I'm just going to steal it. I haven't even seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2 yet. I'm way behind on everything. I don't have a car anymore, so I think, like, going to the movies is an ordeal. Sorry, I'm just trying to read the chat for a second. Yeah, from what I've heard about Homecoming, it sounds really good. It sounds like it's good, but I have to see. I have to judge for myself. I can't, you know, I listened to Red Letter Media's review, and I listened to Ralph Seppi's review. Alright. Meh. I have really nuanced opinions on Spider-Man as a character, though. So, my opinion is not going to probably be in line, particularly with people who aren't Spider-Man fans. We're not maybe going to see eye to eye on some shit. Who is my comic book buddy? He also said he liked it, though, so. And he's a way bigger Spider-Man fan even than I am. But yeah, God, where were we? Are we done? Is we finished, or is we done about this shit? Believable stupidity. Oh man, where else do I even go? Oh yeah, I dare post a picture of my friends. Oh no, oh I'm so fucking sorry. Yeah, this is Daily Dot, women face abuse for the tiniest of political statements, like when Mockingbird writer Chelsea Kane was driven last year. Her crime? Writing a character who wore a Ask Me About My Feminist Agenda t-shirt. Yeah, you deserve that. You're being a complete cunt. You ruined that. We didn't even ruin her because you weren't even writing Bobby Morse. You were writing a blank slate character that you just put your feminist agenda into. Piss off. There have been, Connor is an excellent fucking writer. There are good female writers. There's no, I don't even think there's a dearth of them. There are writers who can write capes. Stop hiring idiots because they match up with the gender or the race of the character you want them to write, so you can put them out there and be like, oh, look at how progressive, look at how representative we are. No. Piss off. I hate it. It makes me so goddamn angry. What are my thoughts on libertarian feminists? That seems difficult to pull off. Are they a left-leaning libertarian feminist? Because that might get it. I mean, that might make sense. I guess. I'm not a left-leaning libertarian. I'm a conservative libertarian, so I don't know. I don't even really understand the whole distinction of left-leaning libertarian, honestly, because I wouldn't really consider you a libertarian at that point. I think you're just a liberal. But, damn. I'm pissed. I really want to see where this stuff goes, though, because this is so bizarre to me that they are taking this. I mean, it's not bizarre. It's not really bizarre, is it? Because this is like, they'll take the little tiniest little thing. Oh no. Oh, somebody called me a fake gamer girl, and I'm gonna act like it's the fucking Holocaust. Nah. If they want to turn this into Comicsgate, it might be the impetus. I could see it. Because honestly, the Zoe Quinn shit was over the exact same stuff. And I talked about this in a video before too, where I had written a academic, I would be using quotes because I was an undergrad, an academic for a public relations class a year, it might not have been a full year, but it was almost a year before Gamergate happened, that was specifically talking about ethics journalism. Because I was like, I can see how fucked this is. And I remember being on VE back around that time, being like, oh yeah, wow, look at how these people are taking bribes. they're absolutely crooked. Risen fries. And gets her game program, I believe. Whatever you want to call it. Positive reviews over it. Alrighty. Marvel should hire Chris Chan for diversity reasons. Santiago. Thank you for the super chat. I would love, oh my god, could you imagine? Who should hire Chris Chan for realsies? Not just have, who supposedly emailed him? Now I don't remember. Was it Reggie Fils-Iam? He thought he was in email contact with Reggie. Yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see just Chris just given full creative ability, because he could never produce anything, but just given creative ability to like yell at people and see what it produces. I would actually imagine it would be about as effective as Andrew Hussey trying to make a Homestuck game, honestly. But that's a tale for another time. An hour on this. I just only want to bring it up because this is unbelievable, and I can't believe it's trending, and there's so much virtue signaling faggotry going on Twitter. Being harassed, I'm being help, I'm being oppressed, come and see the violence inherent in the system, come and see the violence inherent in the system. This is exactly what it is. It's absolutely unbelievable. Yes, where's the harassment? Show me where it is. They can't produce evidence because of course they fucking can't. They can never produce evidence. Just like with Anita Sarkeesian. Hey, Anita, can you show me where you're being harassed? No. Oh, I'm blocked by Dan Slott. That's great. I did call him a faggot and a hack, I think they called it harassment. Pretty much. That's it. That's like, I don't want to spend too much more time on this because the fuck. This is absolutely it. They're gonna do this every goddamn time. I actually didn't even know. V didn't like a lot of sorts about everything. I'll have to watch V's stream on it. It does suck. Yeah, I didn't know he blocked everybody, because I wasn't blocked by him until I called him a hack. So, but he is, so fuck you, Dan Slott. Yeah, the whole hashtag is full of crap. Absolutely disgusting. I hope it blows over, but if it doesn't, actually, you know what? No, I hope it doesn't blow over. Let me rescind that. I hope it doesn't blow over, because I want to see this actually hurt Marvel. At this point, Marvel needs to be injured. They're gonna need a wake-up call. They're gonna need a wake-up call. I can't help the audio, guys. I am on the lowest settings. I am actually using a very good mic, but I just can't help the audio. It's gonna go out sometimes. Starscream 1540, Marvel should hire the great artist Linkara. Not a good idea. Probably not a good idea. It might be a new GG though. If the audio is absolutely fucked, I will end it here and we'll just talk about this. If people want me to keep going though, I wanted to give my 2 cents, my dime on the transgender ban in the military issue. We disagree, therefore we are harassment incarnate. Thank you, Merc, for the super chat. Yes. Agreement is harassment now. It's not just in this, it's in anything. If you don't agree with me, you're literally raping my opinions or whatever. Look, I fucking said this shit before. Get thicker skin, okay? Leftists not all. Hashtag not all. Don't appear to fucking get this. But here's a pro tip, okay? Life's not fair, and life's never going to be equal. And this will actually be a good segue into what I'm going to talk about next then if I'm going on. Life's, no matter what you do to level the playing field between people, every single human being on this planet is different. And I will tell you that as a statistician, as someone who works primarily with aggregates, averages, and statistics. There's an average. It's a bell curve. It's a normal curve. But the individual is also probably going to have all kinds of differences that make that person different from another, although we can base a lot of our grand schemes on averages. If you want to if your goal with the population is to push everyone towards the mean and make it's such a fucking small, slim little curve where almost everybody, if not everybody, is centered on the mean. That's not ever going to happen. Leftists, no one is ever going to be equal to any other person. People are all disparate. It's absurd to pretend or attempt to do anything to the contrary. This is why it's like, oh, we got to make sure we have an equal amount of women. We got to have an equal amount of gay people. We got an equal amount of black people in representation. No, no, no. You hire the people who are best for the job. Tiberius Gracchus, a clue on what's happening. The quick rundown, the bog pill on it is Marvel is in the shitter, and because they have hired a bunch of diversity hires that have written shitty books for the last 4 years, and it's getting progressively worse. Emphasis on progressive. And yeah. It's not going well now. Now they're coming after people. It might be Gamergate 2.0. In bringing up the equality thing, and specifically what that is that what people like myself believe in is not in determinants. So we believe in equality of opportunity, correct? I believe everyone should have an equal opportunity to do whatever. Honestly, I've said this before, the only laws I really believe in are contract law and property law. But whatever. The only real laws and the only real things that I believe in is equality of outcome. If there's something that's stifling your ability that is in a systematic situation. Now, of course, SJWs will argue that there's something about the patriarchy that makes this systematic, that makes them incapable of achieving the same things. That's not the case. That's not reality. The fact of the matter is that what SJWs and what leftists like this want is they want equality of outcome, not equality of opportunity. And equality of outcome is what we're seeing with this transgender ban in the military, as Trump released last week. So this is the next topic, as I want to talk about the trans ban, because I want to get out my couple words on it. Trump is ineloquent. I love Trump. Everyone knows this about me. I love Trump. I love Trump, and I think he fucks up all the time. I think he's not doing the best job, but he's also got a lot of shit in his way. But I do love Trump, and he's not eloquent, and he's not presidential. So he puts out tweets to go fucking whatever. Not a thing that you should have announced via tweet, but fine. What he said is, we're not going to allow trans people in the military anymore. And apparently that's not even the case. Apparently we are going to the people who are in there now are not going to be kicked out. That's at least what John McCain, the fucking brain-damaged old fart, said. So I guess we're still going to allow people, if you're trans and you're in the military, your job is secure. I don't want people to be fired. If we already gave you a contract, well, we've done the contract. The problem is the contract should not have been signed in the first place. And here's why. People want to say this is a civil rights issue. Yeah, next we're going to ban women, and next we're going to ban gays. And I actually think that, I mean, in the first place, pretty much women don't serve combat roles. I don't actually know. I don't think women can serve combat roles in the U.S. military. They certainly shouldn't, because they're held to different physical standards. The PT test that you have to take as a woman in the military is completely different from the PT test in terms of the standards that you have to live up to. You have to live up to different standards. As such, I don't, whatever. I already find an issue with that. Women shouldn't be in combat roles if they're not held to the same physical standards as men. And as long as women aren't in combat roles, okay. We're still talking about a different thing with trans people, though. Women, yeah, I know a couple women have served combat, but I believe they had to pass the male PT standards. And that was a little different. Have I listened to Justicar's take on trans people in the military? He went back and forth with Theron Meyer. Thank you, J.O. Bales. Thank you for the super chat. I have not watched that. Merc, where were these outraged fucks during the tat ban? Oh, were tattoos banned in the military? But I'll tell you, I didn't know about that. But the point is, there's lots of reasons. Now, unfortunately, I can't screen share because I think it's breaking my shit. But there's there's thousands of different reasons that would make you disqualified to join the military, including mental disorders, mood disorders, including depression, bipolar, psychosis, and other unspecified depressive issues. They are disqualifying. comes the gambit, not the Marvel one. Moving off that. Here's the gambit. I've seen this argument. Well, are you saying all trans people are mentally deranged? By the way, I have bipolar disorder. So if I'm calling trans people crazy, I did see Devil's Advocate video, by the way, specifically, watch Devil's Advocate's video on Viagra and how the media, the mainstream media, is completely blasting vets for getting access to Viagra and that being covered by the US military, which is like, oh man, fuck off. You have no fucking clue what you're talking about, you disgusting pieces of shit. But yeah, there's about 1,000 things that can get you disqualified. So I was talking about this earlier. My grandfather grew up on the water, on the Chesapeake Bay, pretty much. He could swim, all day long. He could swim all day long. He was disqualified from the Navy. This was during World War II, right? But he was disqualified from the Navy because he wore glasses. This kind of shit is not new. There are reasons for it, and the reasons are twofold. Threefold. One, it's for your safety, okay? You as an individual, if there's something about yourself and your person that would make it more difficult for you to serve in your full capacity, that would limit your ability to serve in the most acute, accurate, and full attention, as good as anyone else, or as the best as someone who has absolutely no physical or any kind of disorder, or any type of disability, or any type of even differentiation, well, then it's for your safety, because it would mean that, hey, maybe you're not going to get your head blown off because you're looking away, because your glasses are a little, because you get, shit on your glasses you can't see. Well, then, if you're in a war zone, that's not very safe. Well, I mean, it's not safe ever, but that affects your ability to be as completely and totally accurate, as completely effective as possible. It's the same thing with the trans shit on a couple levels. My data here, let's see, I'm going to be citing, where am I citing these data from? This is the William Institute, UCLA. Cites that trans women, 42% of them have committed, or attempted to commit, not committed, but 42% of them have attempted to commit suicide. Trans men, so female to male, 46%. And it's just so funny that fucking Lady Gaga brought this up and was like, oh, Trump, how could you tell people who are 40% more likely to commit suicide that they can't serve in the army? It's like, well, yeah, that's why. Do you know why? Because also other data, this is from va.gov, shows that in 2014, the general suicide rate of all civilians was 15.2% out of 100,000, so 15.2%. Among veterans, it's 35. Do you see a massive increase in the likelihood of suicide attempt? Inflation, shit. Veterans have a higher proclivity and a greater risk for suicide. So, why would you want to introduce to the population of people who have to do this extremely stressful job people who are already really prone to suicide? Now, generally speaking, if you go to a recruiter and you do your psych eval, or you go in, you're all ready to go, you have to do your psych evals, your physical evals, you do your psych eval, and it's like, have you ever thought, do you have suicidal thoughts? Do you have suicidal ideation? You go, oh yeah, all the time. You're gonna be turned away. And if you're trans, likelihood that you're gonna have suicidal ideation. Okay, so let's move beyond that. All right. So let's say we find a trans person who's not suicidal. This is a trans person who has never experienced any suicidal attempts. Guess what? They've never even experienced gender dysphoria. And I'm going way out on a fucking limb here and saying I would still consider that person trans. So they don't consider gender dysphoria, or they don't experience gender dysphoria. They don't experience gender dysphoria. They have no suicidal ideation. They pass all their psych evals with flying colors. At that point, this is what I'm seeing people say. It's like, oh, well, you're saying all trans people are mentally deranged. Okay. So this person has no mental issues. They have no suicidal ideation. What do you want from me then? What do you want the US government to pay for? Do you want us to pay for hormone therapy? For what purpose? Is it serving any need, any medical need? dysphoria, so what need does it serve? What you're then talking about, both in terms of the hormone replacement therapy and in terms of the gender reassignment surgery, you are now talking about a cosmetic treatment. If you're saying there is no mental or health reason for these medications or this surgery, then you're talking about an elective cosmetic surgery, in which case we should not pay for that any more than you would pay for a veteran to get a facelift or a tummy tuck or whatever the fuck, any other kind of fucking cosmetic. I find this to be a little bit of a stopping point because I don't know how the SJWs are going to get around that argument. How can you get around if they're not mentally ill? Okay, let's put it this way. If they're mentally ill, they can't serve because mentally ill people can't serve in the military. I couldn't be in the military in any branch, in any capacity, because I have bipolar disorder. Like I just said, there's liabilities. It's on both sides. It's on for my safety and also for the government not to have to pay if I go fucking crazy and kill people or kill myself, and then money that has to go to my family or money that has to go to my long-term care. That's why they don't allow people with mental disorders or a whole fucking slew of physiological disorders into the military. That's why. It's silly. It's not logical. I have to admit that being transgender requires gender dysphoria, which is a mental disorder that is associated with extreme proclivity towards suicidal ideation and suicidal tendencies, in which case, yeah, it's a mental disorder as it is defined by the World Health Organization and by the American Psychological Association, or you say it's not a mental health disorder, in which case the surgery and the medication is superficial and cosmetic. I think that regardless of how Trump may have phrased it, I think the argument is settled here. It's not the same thing as gay people. Gay people don't require medication every day. I mean, I think they tend to be a little bit more likely to be depressed. But if you're not depressed, there's something inherently about being gay that fucks your shit up, right? Your dysphoria, and therefore you require hormones and gender reassignment surgery, well, then you're not mentally and physically also, because you have to be on this medication all the time, fit for service, active service. If you don't believe disorder and you disagree with the World Health Organization and the American Psychological Association, well then, yeah, you're talking about elective surgeries and you don't get money for that either. Next biggie thing, are you on the Dick Show this week? I am not this week. This week's going to be Count Dankula. I will be on next week. The chat's Tiberius Graka, if your chat's fucking weird, these people are asking you to perform their fantasies. Y'all need to stop. I see there's some guy saying some weird ass shit. He's fucking allowed to do whatever he wants in my chat. He wants to, you know what? Say all your gross shit, my dude. You have at it. I wouldn't want to say I encourage it, but you do you, my dude. Merc, super chat. We already have enough of a drain on our military budget due to permanently non-deployable soldiers. Absolutely. This is my part of my point. As a vet, I could go on about this, and this is something too. Did it come out already? The Dankula one? Oh, Dankula came out. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Mr. Medicare this week. Mr. Medicare. Jim, internet aristocrat. There's already so many drains on military spending. I don't even think this is, like, Trump said it was about money. It doesn't like cost so much to give hormones like active service members. You know that the VA has to keep paying for that shit forever. The government has to keep paying for that shit forever. It's like, okay, it's like this is the same thing with insurance, of wondering about, yeah, I want to go into an insurance, to an insurance company and say, like, hey, pay for my shit. By the way, I've got diabetes and AIDS, and you should pay for me for the rest of my life or some shit. Like, I'm not saying it's that bad, but you're already coming in with a pre-existing condition with the knowledge that, yeah, you're going to have to, the government's going to have to pay for that for the rest of your life. This is why the government, in addition to why they don't take anybody with pre-existing conditions, because it means the government's got to pay for you for life. They don't take anything else with pre-existing conditions. They don't take people who have diabetes. They don't take people who are fucking flat-footed. They don't have people with ADHD. They don't take people who have fucking anything, man. And pretty much peak physical health to be an active service member. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't get the issue. I think that I've covered it. When I first heard it, I was a little bit like, well, let me see what Trump means by this. And as soon as I started to look into the numbers, it didn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for us to have people who have this existing condition, who require medication, who are, when you're talking about compounding the existing suicide rates with the increased suicide rates of veterans that we know exist, you're looking at a real fucking bad scenario, okay? You're gonna have a bad time. It's not a good thing, neither for the individual civilian in this case, nor for the army and the US government at large. And I don't agree with the amount of money we spend on the military. I'm not for that. I'm a little government kind of gal, though, so. Man, let's see. Great. The last thing would be, and I don't want to do it tonight, I was going to say maybe we should talk about the Ann Coulter debate, but I would have to have it up, and I don't think it's going to work with the current shit internet service. So unless really, I guess now, guys, like I'm just gonna chill for a little bit. Maybe we'll hang out. If anyone in the chat wants to bring up a topic or talk about anything, I wanted to get out my beef on that Marvel shit because that really pissed me off. And yeah, I will probably talk about it again later once I'm home and I'm on my stable setup. Streaming with TLDR, he'd have to want me to talk about something. I love TLDR. I think he's really intelligent. I really enjoy his content. He would have to want to do something with me. Oh, that stream he did the other day, I just listened to it last night because I'd been behind on the on race and IQ. That was brilliant. That was well researched. It was really well done. I very much enjoyed that. And I think that a lot of the TM skeptic types are going to have a hard time dealing with TLDR if he's going to talk about topics honestly like that. The DCEU films, what is my opinion? I still haven't seen Wonder Woman. Like I said, I'm really far behind. I heard Wonder Woman was okay. Ugh. But otherwise I've really hated. I'll talk about it in a second. Real quick, Suzaku55, you are flat-foot. I have flat foot, and I'm in the United States Air Force. I had to get a waiver. It took me 2 years to get. Exactly. It's a big deal, correct? That if you have any kind of medical thing, it has to be signed away on, and it takes time. Oh, my DCEU films, though. I went to go see Man of Steel dressed up as Tara, whatever, however you want to. I guess it's Tara. And because I was like, that's the closest costume I have to anything related to Superman, but I don't have a costume for it. And I remember sitting there, and it's that meme of it's like her hope and optimism gone. Every fucking hope I had just drain out of me. Just a wave of sadness of being like, oh no, this is not what I wanted at all. Total biscuits are traps gay. Thoughts. Traps aren't gay. I've been over it so many times, my dude. I'm gonna start like just posting the link to that book that I always cite every time in every video. Reyes is awesome. I like Robbie Reyes as a character. I think I'm not reading anything at Marvel right now. I'm just avoiding them. Let's see. What's my opinion on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? I love JoJo's. Joseph's probably. Joseph's good. Jotaro is good. I like a lot of the early JoJo's, but then, I don't know, I think my favorite run is... I also like Jolene, and I know no one likes Stone Ocean, but I liked Stone Ocean, even though it was really weird. Steel Ball run's probably the best individual. Let's see, chat thoughts on... Yeah, JoJo's answered that. Another person asked about JoJo's. What are my morals like? I don't know, man. That's a really fucking heavy question. Have I read any Korean manga? I like webcomics. I've read a lot. It would be manhwa, I believe. But yeah, I used to read Tower of God pretty much all the time. I'm way far behind on it, though. That trap. It's... Oh, man. I'll post it. I'll always post the book about... It's not about traps. It's just about sexuality in general, like what people find sexually attractive. I can't, for some reason, I can't locate the citation in my head. Normally, I'm really good about that. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, manhwa. But yeah, I used to read Tower of God all the time, which is a really, really excellent Korean webcomic. And yeah, I did mention it. I mentioned it before because somebody like freaked out that yeah, I did used to fucking read Homestuck, and I used to be really into Homestuck, which I know is such a horrible thing. Who would win an epic citation battle, Dr. Lehman or Teal Deer? I mean, can I be involved? Because I'm real good at that shit too. I'm not doing real good right now, but out of the two of them, I don't know. It depends. We all have sort of similar backgrounds, I believe, in social science. So it's not the same. The thing about social science is that it all kind of, and this is I think that irritates both layman and myself, is that and I don't know about Tildeer, but I would imagine it does as well. I wouldn't speak for him though. Is that there's this proclivity among lay people, use that smug term, to kind of clump all social science together as this like nebulous of it's the same. So sociology is the same as communication, which is the same as social psychology, which is the same as economics. I don't know what else the fuck you clump in there. Would I stream with Sticks? I'll stream with anybody, man. I'm really chill. Again, this was tonight alone because I'm trying. Shit's barely working. But yeah, I would stream with anybody who wanted to. I'm very, very chill. Open to anything, talking to anybody. I don't mean to insult lay people. It's more just about like the term is apt. So I know it makes you it makes you come off as a dick and makes you come off as pretentious. So it's not my intention, but it is apt. I don't know anything about Batman White Knight. I actually don't know anything about that. I don't. What is it even? I'm out of the loop right now. I've been actually trying to avoid a lot of shit with comics because I go through these periods of like getting way back into it again, and I dump tons of money, and then I get pissed off and burned out, and then I just avoid everything for a while. Yeah, Layman is kind of destroying Greg right now in that series. I'm not to be too mean to Greg. My point though is that if you don't know much about a subject, you shouldn't make educational videos on it or edutainment videos on a subject. Ape and I will probably do something in the near future. I've been on Molly Meme's show, Stannis. I won't say which episode. But I would definitely, yeah, Ape and I will probably do something at some point. Ape is a very cool guy. I like him a lot. He was actually the reason one of the main reasons I wanted to go into YouTube because I liked his content so much. And I was like, damn, like I dig this. This is the kind of content I want to see more of on YouTube. So hey, well, go do it yourself, faggot. Do I have an opinion on Brexit? Yeah, good. I hope they get the fuck out. I mean, gee, I don't know. UK's got a lot of issues, but yeah, they need to get the fuck out. The EU is absolutely awful. It is a complete failed socialist experiment. Would I go on H Bomber Guy? Isn't he like a massive SJW? Who's the most handsome skeptic in the community? So on that, okay, so I'm biased. You can't ask me this question. I would say the most handsome skeptic in the community is a YouTuber by the name of Hard Bastard. But from the Twitter poll, I did vote for Sargon out of those guys. Coach Red Pill led me to this channel. Love it so far. Every time I hear social science, I vomit a little. It's not so bad. It's not. Thank you, Quebec. Thank you for the super chat. Social science, again, is not this nebulous thing of just of bullshit critical theory that you've probably been led, and with good reason, to believe that it is. What I do is entirely quantitative empiricism. Now, you could look at somebody like, so in terms of economics, somebody like Hans Hermann Hope, right, who I take a lot of my libertarian beliefs sort of from. He absolutely believed that the problem with economic theory was that it looked into quantitative empiricism, right? So I get that there's a disconnect there, but what I do in terms of social science and what benefits my form of social science and our ability to understand and further the wealth of human knowledge when it comes to how humans interact and behave and communicate is quantitative post-positive empiricism. That means observable, falsifiable, and measurable. We have to be able to see and measure and falsify this shit. My opinion on Steins Gate. I love Steins Gate. I keep thinking about it because of all this time travel shit involving Trump. I also like Tokyo Ghoul, and I like Fate. I have not seen enough of. Let's see. Oops, what are we going on? Let me check out the chat real quick. My favorite armor class. I mean, even though I call myself a paladin, I actually always play rangers or bards, so light usually. What is it like to have bipolar? I don't know. It's like anything else. You just gotta get on. You gotta get medicated and sort your shit out, my dude. Sort yourself out. Bipolar is a chemical disorder, so you do actually. People say like, "Oh, just work your way through depression." Yeah, maybe not if you got a chemical imbalance. You got to take some stuff for that. Okay, because once I got on medication, I was fine. All those issues went away. Who's my favorite? Who is my waifu husbando? My husbando, the number one is of course Daredevil. Waifu. Who's my? Damn, who's my deepest waifu? Pro-Trump brony memes increasing. How much longer until CNN labels brony communities as alt-right or white supremacists? My dude. Thank you, first of all, for the super chat. Suzaku 455. Well, for April Fools, the 4chan's politically incorrect, the Nazi board, of course, my dudes, if you haven't noticed, where all of us neo-Nazis congregate to share our evil Nazi memes, got merged with MLP, which is the My Little Pony board. Most amazing thing, because it made all the normies leave. And I was astounded that I got along better with bronies at this point. That we had more in common politically than the fucking Redditors who were there just to shill Donald Trump. Let's see. Let me see. Okay, my opinion on Trump. I love Trump. I wish he could do better. I think he's being stopped, and I think he trusts his family too much. Which is, I understand why he does, but his family's full of neocons. His cabinet's full of neocons. I don't like neocons. I don't like globalists. It's not why we voted for him, and he's being stopped on both sides. People keep blaming Trump for the repealing Obamacare getting stopped. No, that's not his fault. He can't fucking affect that. McCain could affect that. What do I think of Assigned Mail? Hilarious. It's to the point. Assigned Mail is such an amazing comic because I honestly can't tell when it's satire or an edit anymore. I don't know. I have no fucking clue, dudes. Have I played Halo? Not in a while. I used to play Halo. I like Berserk. ML Poll was the best. ML Poll was... I miss... That was truly... That was my... I think that might have been my second favorite thing this year. Well, in the last full year, counting from today, besides obviously the election, was astoundingly amazing. I love Berserk. Berserk is a great series. The boat shit was fucked, but... I don't have a favorite pony. I've never seen MLP. I don't have any desire to watch or do anything involved with MLP. Global warming. So I think it's about 95% of scientists agree that there is some level of global climate change happening. I would agree. I don't know enough. And I think this is one of those areas where, for me I can give you my opinion, but I have a reasonably educated opinion, but I'm not a scientist on this. So I am giving a lay opinion on it, which is that the global climate is changing absolutely. The extent to which it is affected by man-made and human-produced carbon dioxide emissions, for example. I don't think we have been able to exactly tap down. I think it's likely, but I don't think that means that I don't like making massive government policy and financial decisions based on I don't know, kind of. If people made massive government and policy changes based on my research, I would tell them, no, don't do that. I don't have the confidence level to tell you to do that. I think from what I understand, they don't have the confidence levels to really give definitives on what percentage, carbon emissions have to do with the global climate change. Alucard the Unholy, I just noticed you. Yeah, males are responsible. Oh, well, actually, wasn't that the thing about like the feminist glaciers? But glaciers melting is men's fault or something. What do I think about chemicals in the water turning the freaking frogs gay? It's sad, but I would actually be of the returning of the great chaos god Kek, who is a hermaphroditic frog. So if we're turning the frogs gay, because actually it doesn't turn them gay, it was feminizing them, making them hermaphrodites. And the interesting thing is that Kek is a hermaphroditic frog god. If you pray to Kek, there you go. It's a sign of his return. All right. Let's see. How long have we been going, dudes? Again, I want to talk about the Ann Coulter and Anna Kasparian debate. I want to also... I really want to talk about that Cenk Uygur debate. That was astounding. You've been going for 2 hours, man. Close to it. I don't know. We're not gonna do it tonight, though. There's gonna be 2 new videos, or 3 new videos. 3 videos are 2 videos are done. They're written. They just need to be recorded. One is on descriptive statistics. Joe Franklin, have you heard of Richard Kalinsky? If you have an interest in serial killers, he's very interesting. There's a good audiobook on him called The Iceman. I have not. I will check it out, though. Also, thank you for the 1488s, Heil Hitler. Oh, fuck. Wait, okay. Have you seen the articles about the sperm count of Western men? Yeah, I have. I might have to throw that into the other video I'm doing. I'm doing one on descriptive statistics that'll be like the normal how do I into social science thing, and then there's going to be another one that's going to be about Western women dating migrants and marrying migrants, because that's fucking weird. But I had to go into it with a very open mind, and I had to go into it from an inductive reasoning standpoint. I was watching these women do this, and I had to go in and say, like, okay, I see I see the observation. That could be happening. So I think I have some good, maybe not evidence, but I have some good theories that we could offer up. They need to be tested, of course. Yeah, watch out. I know I made a Nazi joke, so I don't give, like, if you're gonna fuck with me over a Nazi joke, go ahead. I'm clearly not a fucking Nazi. I'm way too degenerate for that shit. Yeah, Stormfront hates her. Like, no, I don't give a fuck. I'm not, that's not working. Go ahead, if you'd like to, go ahead. I mean, please, fuck with me on it. I'm really disappointed in Kraut over that. I know he's gonna come for, I like Kraut. He's been nothing ever but nice to me. So I like him and I like his content. I'm just really disappointed because I don't think that's right. I don't think what he did was right at all. And I'll say it here because it might be a real video about it, but I'm really fucking, I was pissed off, okay? I was actually pissed. That's not right. You don't do that to anybody. Here's a goddamn. All right, now I'm gonna fucking do it. All right, here's the fucking. I'm going way out right now. Here's the fucking truth. You don't fuck with somebody's livelihood. It doesn't matter that it didn't. Oh, she wasn't really working for that dude. She wasn't getting paid. I don't give a shit. He thought that she was. You don't do that. That's immoral. And maybe you call me a Kantian, and Kantian ethics are so limited. Whatever. Consequentialism. Blah blah blah. No, hang on. Intent matters. If I intended to gas the Jews, does it matter if I succeeded or not? I still, like, if I really, really tried to kill them all, and I flipped the switch, and then it turned out that it wasn't Zyklon B that came out of the gas chamber, but instead it was, I don't know, perfume or some shit, does that mean that I'm not morally responsible for trying to gas the Jews? Alright? Let's talk about intention. Fuck. Yes, he violated the NAP. I don't agree with that, and I don't like Rage. I never liked her. I not from like a personal standpoint. I always found her, was not a fan of her content. Okay, and I always was like, whoa, man, I don't know what's going on with this girl. But and Neeraj and I both were like, there's something weird going on with this girl. We've talked about this before, so it's not like I'm a fan. But you don't go and I don't care that he deleted the tweet 20 minutes later. Good for him. It was apologize. All he had to do was apologize. Is just say, hey, I fucked up. I fucked up, sorry. That was it. And no one would care. No one would care. No one would give a single fuck. I just think, like, he doubled down by doing that drama video, which he should not have done. That was not a good idea. I'm disappointed in him right now. I have reasons to think that it's not necessarily all him going down this rabbit hole alone. But, yeah, I just was disappointed in Kraut, because I think he's smarter, and I think he's got some anger issues. I think he lets it get ahead of him sometimes, and then he does stupid stuff. Yeah. He needs to apologize. That's all I'll say about Kraut. I already made my little statement on before. This is what you do. If you're going to hold people to a certain bar, a certain standard, and say, you don't dox us, you don't come after our employers, you don't come after our method of getting money, you don't do it to anybody else. You can't have one rule for you and another for others. That's what SJWs do. Shit works. And I didn't like, yeah. Hey, Charmy Man, what's up? Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, whatever. I don't know how much I want to talk about Kraut. I really am disappointed, is all I want to say, is that I was disappointed. That's not how morality works, in my opinion. And you know what? Hey, you can disagree with me. You can say consequences are all that matters. Fine. Maybe consequences are all that matters. I don't think so. I think intent matters. Again, if I'm going to gas the Jews and it doesn't work, does it mean that I didn't commit some sort of crime? You know what I mean? Or that there's no moral quandary there. Have I played a Persona game? Yes, absolutely. Favorite Halo character? I don't know. I was never like a huge Halo fan. I mostly just played like them sort of just for funsies. But my favorite Persona game is Persona 3. I liked Persona 4. I played a little bit of P5, and then I've also played some of the other Shin Megami Tensei games. But I love P3 the best. Charlie, what are you actually even doing in this chat? Isn't it fucking like midnight, like 1 o'clock in the morning there, dude? I think Tree of Logic also overreacted. I think she, yeah, you bring up the Mens Rea and Actus Rea stuff. I'm not saying he's guilty of anything. I'm just saying apologize. Because in that case, we're not talking about law. We're talking about intent. We're talking about ethics. And ethics is a whole fucking shit show, isn't it? I'm not like, I hate Kraut and done with him. I'm just saying, like, disappointed, man. Should have fucking apologized. And I'm not the only one. If you've looked, he lost 2,000 subs. It's not a ton if you've got fucking 130K. Come on. I'm just saying, you know, be fair. Don't do fucked up shit to other people if you don't want fucked up shit done to you. I don't like that. That's all. That's just me. That's just me. And if you guys want to unsub the Kraut, you know, whatever. I'm waiting to see. I kind of hope he'll apologize. He probably won't. Pathfinder Command. No, I'm not. I should, though. I haven't played D&D or any type of tabletop game in so long, and I wish I could. I don't have anybody to play with. But I should probably, actually, you know what, because that's fun. Oh, before I started, I hated Dan Harmon. I used to really enjoy listening to them play Pathfinder. Because that was very fun. I liked that, and I at some point, or they did like an animated version of it. But Dan Harmon, if you guys don't know, if you're Rick and Morty fans, I have never watched Rick and Morty. I never watched Rick and Morty because it came out like right after I decided I'd never wanted to listen to Dan Harmon say anything ever again. So Dan Harmon is the creator of Rick and Morty, and also Community, the comedy TV show Community. Man, maybe I should. I know I should watch Rick and Morty. I keep watching people do Let's Plays of the VR game. It looks really fun. Kraut did eventually apologize to Edu. How long did that take, though, dude? 9 months? 8 months? Played D&D with Sargon. I don't know fucking if anybody. What really sent me over the end, actually, he had been doing Rick and Morty for like a year and a half when he did what actually put me over the edge of I'm done with Dan Harmon, which is that some kid messaged him on Twitter and was not did not speak English fluently. and he just like went off on like a 50 tweet tirade against this kid, being like, "Oh fuck you, man! Fuck you! It was just awful." And then didn't even really apologize for it. He's an egomaniac, like a lot of people in this sphere of the universe. Fallen Angels 2001, I noticed you, and I have played the Dot Hack series. Which one are you referring to, GU or IMOQ? IMOQ is good in some ways, but GU has better story and better waifus. D&D 2nd edition is the best. Advanced D&D is shit. Twitter apparently was a mistake. Even the CEO thinks it was a mistake. I'm waiting until Gab catches up. What I really want is Twitter to ban Donald Trump, because it would destroy Twitter. Already we know that they didn't gain any new any new users over the last quarter, which is unbelievable. Superman versus Goku. Oh my god, how long are we gonna do this? Oh, I'm at 1%, so I might have to go. I have to go because my phone's about to die, guys. But I'm not Jake Pauler. Superman versus Goku. They both get along, and they go and get burgers and ramen together, and they have just a chill time. Two chill dudes. I have to go. Thank you guys so much. Yep, I just lost the chat, so sorry. Because my phone died. But thank you guys so much for participating in this bullshit stream. I am sorry for the absolute garbo quality because of the internet connection. I will be back home tomorrow evening. There are 3 videos that are going to get recorded. I will try to put them out and get them finished as quickly as possible. Again, one will be on descriptive statistics. That one might be second. There's going to be one on the British police, because oh my god, they made a right-wing terrorism simulator. And I wasn't gonna if I'm gonna make a topic about stuff, if I'm gonna do a video about a topic, I need more than one example. So we were into the Wiltshire, I think, police put out these tweets of like, huh, we'll come find you if you post mean tweets. All right, so that's gonna be the part's gonna be this right-wing terrorism extremism simulator. We're gonna do a let's play of that, and then the final one will be, at least in terms of the immediate docket, will be on human arcade selection theory, male dominance, physical attraction versus psychological attraction, and Western women. And that I need to come up with a name for that because it's a little bit too much. I need to come up with something succinct. That's it though, guys. Thank you so much, and thank you for everybody who gave Super Chat. Again, sorry I didn't have regularly scheduled content this week, although thank you to Coach Red Pill for putting up an awesome video on my channel yesterday. And yeah, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled content as of a few days from now. Thanks, guys. All right. Love y'all, fam. Bye-bye.